Welcome, family. Listen, you're in for a treat again today, Sunday. We're about to give it to you. I have somebody that I am tremendously appreciative of, excited about, because he is a great friend of mine. He is a family member of mine, and he's a part of a greater family, which is the family of Sanuces, the family of Miteru, the family of Jiu-Jitsu, and now I'm going to introduce him to you. But before that, I want you to everybody now, you want to let somebody else know that we're on. Send this out to others, and then also subscribe. Don't hesitate in subscribing, because you want to be aware of all of those that come in. I've been getting some great reviews from you all. You've been letting me know that you've enjoyed everything. Well, listen, tonight is another night that you're gonna love, man. We have this interesting individual over here. As I said, my friend, he is Grandmaster Tom Curry, and I want to introduce him to you, and he will share who he is. Well, first of all, welcome, Grandmaster. How you doing?
Good. Thank you for having me on, sir, and thank you for that wonderful introduction.
Man, but listen, you're a wonderful person that needs a wonderful introduction. So I appreciate you for being on this podcast this evening. So So listen, now in terms of how we do things here, is I don't have any pre prearranged questions. I don't do that. I don't have prearranged questions. We have concepts that we go after, because it's like our technique. You know, we don't prearrange that technique, because your opponent doesn't operate off a prearranged defense. So what I'm going to do with you is I'm going to just ask you some questions and get some things from you. Now, the first question that I want to ask you deals with the root, and we always want to start at the base. We want to start where you start. So I want you to help the audience to understand who you are, where you came from, and how did you get that opportunity to walk with that great man, Doctor Moses Powell, but you are someone that we want to know about you. So, Tom, please, Grandmaster, give me a little bit about yourself, please. Where did you come from?
So, like, I was watching the Green Hornet, and there was this guy on there named Cato, and he was chopping and kicking everybody in the late 60s. I was just a young boy. And it just, as soon as I seen it, it clicked. A few years later, around 1971, in 71, I started training in Kodokan Judo with Jiu-Jitsu under Archie Campbell at the Jackson Jiu-Jitsu Pod. And that was very, very cool, because Monday and Friday was strict Judo, but Wednesday was Jiu-Jitsu. But it wasn't just Jiu-Jitsu, it was Jiu-Jitsu and it was Kendo. Or it was knife fighting on the side. And then, there was guys that used to make stars, shurikens, in the wood shop, which they had wood shops back then. So when he wasn't around, we'd be trucking those into the station. It was a well-rounded martial arts school. 1980, I met Grandmaster Bynes, and I started United States Black Cat Kempo with him, and I'm still steady with that today. And in 91, walking on Flatbush Avenue, I bumped into Doctor Moses Powell. I was a young cop. There was this big fella leaning on what I later learned to be When Worlds Collide. And as I got close to him, I seen a sword hanging out of his bag, which is kind of like illegal to walk around the city with a sword in your hand. So I was like a young cop, and my boss didn't like me much because he was into baseball. And I swing a bat at somebody, I'm good like that. I don't hit the ball and chase it. That wasn't my thing. So he used to send me to the furthest part of the precinct to get rid of me. And I was like, oh, this is great. I have no idea how to arrest somebody. I'll never be able to do the paperwork. It'll drive him crazy. This guy's going to go. And as I got close, he just turned on me. And I was like, hey, that's pretty cool. I go, I do martial arts. It looks like you do too. I'm Tom Curry. And I introduced myself. And he shook my hand with his hands, which was really two of my hands, right? He wrapped it around. He says, I'm Moses Powell. It was Professor Moses Powell. I'm Professor Moses Powell. And I says, oh, Moses Powell, I'm a fan of yours. Because Art Bynes showed us a video, The Warrior Within. And you're like the star of that show. So I whip out what they call a memo book out of my pocket. I go, hey, I never ask people for signatures, but would you sign my book? Right? Completely illegal. He did, right? I still have it today. I have it in my books. And my boss came by to scratch, they call it a scratch, to make sure you're on post, which was the furthest distance from the precinct. And he was like, who the heck is this? Who's Moses what? Who's signing your what are you doing? And I got in trouble for that. I didn't care, though, not even a little bit, because the next day, the boss would talk about baseball, and he'd say, what do you think? I go, I didn't watch it. I was watching cartoons. Oh, that's good, Curry. You're on Flatbush Avenue. Walk. Don't take the bus. I want you to walk. I was like, okay. I worked a day tour, and as you know, Doc was an early riser. Doom, doom, doom. Run into him on the street. How you doing? And then one day I had the guts. I says, hey, can you show me how you do this thing where you grab the wrist and you step under and the guy goes flying over? He goes, yeah, I could show you. And he grabbed my wrist and he goes, he was smarter than I was, I don't think this is a good idea. Because here I am in uniform and I got this guy who's going to throw me on the floor in about a second. So he brought me in to When Worlds Collide, right? So I walk in. But they don't know I'm with him. They just see this guy's like breaching, the door, and they come. I got swooned on. He goes, no, he's with me. And he took me down. He says, come on, I have a class going on. And then you showed up. You came down. The first day I was there, you were there. He came down, and he says, this is, at the time, Shihan Anthony, and he is also in law enforcement. And you were telling a story. If you don't mind, I'll repeat it. I remember it. He said, man, I was at work last night or in the afternoon, and there was someone acting up, and I was like, who's acting up? And what's going on? And crack the gate. And then he went on the floor, and it was hot, and you rolled your hakama up. I never seen the hakamas rolled up like shorts. And then I looked around, and everybody was wearing hakama shorts. I don't know if you remember, I reached down, I rolled up my pants. And then I watched Sanuces aside from watching the film, I watched Sanuces, which I had never really seen that close. I was like, wow. And Doc was doing, he was working off a knife into an arm bar, a dropping arm bar to the floor. And he was dropping down. as powerful as he was, I was like, he moves pretty good. He's pretty obviously a strong guy, but he's not hurting anybody. I was very, very impressed. Next day, I go in. Hey, boss, not for nothing. Great baseball. I don't know about that game. Meanwhile, my father, my brother, my kids are big sports buffs. Curry, you're on Flatbush Avenue. I was like, oh, all right. Ran into Doc. Later on, he became Doc. Down the stairs. Until finally, he says, when are you going to join? And I was like, Doc, I'm kind of heavy to be doing these rollout things you guys are doing. Although I knew how to roll out, you guys are doing freestyle rollouts, which I didn't do then. And then you're doing like complete freestyle, somersault, boom, hitting the ground. I said, I'm kind of heavy. I was on the police phone, the TSS phone. He called up. He goes, don't worry about that. He says, you'll lose weight here. That doesn't mean just come. That was it. I came in. He wasn't there. I spoke with you. I had maybe $2 in my pocket. I brought sticks. I don't know if you remember the Arnie sticks. I says, maybe we could barter or something like that. Because rookie cop, I wasn't making $3 a week. And yeah, we'll do the stick thing. And then I realized there was a lot of schools going on in one school. There was a lot of teachers coming in. I worked mostly in the daytime, but they switched my shift to like 10 o'clock. So then I was able to catch his 8 o'clock class, go to work, and if I wasn't working overtime, come back and catch somebody at nighttime. I think he was there like on a Wednesday night or something, if I recall correctly. He had Professor Battle was there. But in the daytime, I would see you, but you were very, very busy at the time. You were kind of getting everything moving. Grandmaster Bill was there. And Pete Lawson was there. He started out teaching me Tia, right? I don't know which one it was. 4 or 5, I don't know where it was. He says, you're not really a forms guy, are you? I go, no. I says, I appreciate forms. I'm not here for that, though. I says, I could do forms. I'll learn them if you want me to. I want to know how to go outside and disarm people without breaking their arms if I don't have to do that. Or if I don't, like the karate system, people talk about Cobra Kai. Well, he's going to kill me. My karate instructor, in my mind as a child, was the guy who said to his student, kick him in the knee. No, say his knees, kick him, win. So I couldn't see grabbing onto. I was like, I'm going to get in trouble. I don't want to do that. I don't want to spill blood. I don't want to have to. Let me learn how to do lock and control, which was so essential for me through my 20 years to use minimal force when it was necessary. And for pretty much, I never got in trouble. I never got in trouble because I was able to quickly do what I was shown. And it worked, and like people were like, you get along pretty good with the criminals. I says, yeah, they're criminals. I mean, they do what they do. I do what I do. We're kind of at opposite ends, but we do meet somewhere. We're still standing on the same dirt. And that was it. And then, and I never left, and I loved every second of it. And I still love every second of it. And it's a wonderful world. If people aren't involved with Sanuces, VSK, Kimiteru, they should be. They should be, because they're really missing the boat here. Because aside from learning to defend yourself, because Sanuces was described to me as urban survival. That's what he said it was. That's pretty straightforward when I'm looking through this window and I see concrete on the floor. It's not a sport, but it can be. It's not a drop-off activity, but it's the best drop-off activity because you're actually learning something. But aside from that, you learn a discipline, a brotherhood, and an honor code that just doesn't leave your bones. It just stays with you. So it's I could go on and on how much I love it. I love you, and I love everybody I've been around, and I'm just grateful someone put my feet on that path. They say it's where I don't see your footprints. It's because I carried you there, right? It's an old biblical fable Someone put me on that path because of all the places I could have been hiding in the 8A precinct, I bumped into Moses Powell.
That's right. Awesome. That's a fantastic story.
Yeah.
And, because and I got to say, when you came in, I mean, you felt, there was a lot of Islam and Muslims around and coming back and forth. So, you had to walk through that where everybody wasn't a part of the martial arts school. So you had to deal with the looks or whatever you had, whatever you felt, you dealt with that. And then you became a part of the family. Because even outside of the Islam and Muslim and whatnot, not that it was making you, keeping you. It's just that it reminds me of how women are in a male-dominated environment. So every woman that comes into our schools, they don't necessarily stay all the time, and they don't because they experience the domination of some kind of other aspect. So you came on through, man, and you handled everything. There's nothing that was going to stop you from coming through. And you became a part of the family, and now you're a part of whatever came through. You also did whatever you did. So it was really great. So how was that? Tell me about that. I that too.
My mother was a religious woman. She used to go to church every Sunday, and I was brought up Catholic. I was brought up from grammar school to high school to college. I wasn't brought up looking at people anything different than what we are. We're just humans. We all are on this fishbowl together. You know what? It's like lately, and it may be just me from what I'm looking onto the screen. I hear a lot about UFOs, right? But to get to us into our galaxy, they have to be at least 100 to 1,000 years, maybe advanced more than we are, because the distance is so far and the obstacle's so great that they'd have to be moving at light speed for an incredibly long time just to come to us. So I always said, well, if that's the case, someone did come in, we're all dead. We're gonna be like bugs. I may be a bigger bug, but I'm still gonna get squashed with everybody else. So I was brought up thinking that way. And I never felt like, until you guys told me they were trying to get rid of me, I was taking Doc to go visit my other, my Black Cat Kempo instructor, Grandmaster Bynes. And, I was putting the two of them together, which was, his guess is normal, but I was kind of apprehensive a little bit. I didn't know how it was going to work. And he's laughing in the car. I go, what are you laughing at? He goes, man, those Muslim brothers did everything they could to get rid of you. And look at you today. I was like, so I looked at him. I go, what are you talking about? You never told me that. He goes, yeah, what do you mean? You didn't know? I go, no, I didn't know. I thought you told everybody to go hard on me because I was working. It was the crack wars of 91. I thought you'd say, be rough on him because he's in the middle. He goes, I never said that. I didn't say anything like that. Fast forward, Doc transitioned. And now we're in Philly. And I'm going to get up to demonstrate with Master Parker. And you look at me, you go, I go, what? He goes, man, they did everything they could to get rid of you. I was like, oh, why didn't you tell me? I wouldn't trade 1 second of being in that the worlds collide. I enjoyed every single workout, whether I got beat up, multiple beat ups, cheap shotted. I learned a lot of good stuff down there. I learned a lot of good stuff. I'm not going to say the first workout with you, Grandmaster. You had us jumping rope, endless exercise. It was upstairs. It wasn't even downstairs. I didn't have the right to go downstairs yet. Lutalo was there, somebody else. My first day, and I had a spar with Lutolo. My first day. I was like, oh, this is a rocking school. Well, from jumping rope so much, I don't know if you had a rug upstairs. The bottom of my feet wore off. So the next day there was class, and I bandaged myself up. I didn't have work, and I bandaged up like Splinter in the Ninja Mutant Turtles. And I came in and go, I don't know if I could jump rope today, but everything else is good. It was fun, you know. It was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun. And then when Doc would run his classes, whether it was the Sunday morning class or the Sunday morning class was the tricky one. When he'd go up, they would go like this. Okay, we're going to fight now. I was like, all right, you know, the Grandmaster Binds and the Kempo system I come from, they're all fighters. You know, it's fighting is fighting. I was on the NYPD karate team as well. So, but it was intense. It was good because I could hit as hard as I wanted because I was definitely getting hit as hard as they could. But it was good. I wouldn't trade it. It was, you know, it was and the workout. It wasn't like a job. Yeah, come on in. We're all going to get in shape. Don't worry about it. It was like if you didn't do the workout, you were run out. You came in with some yap baloney. I didn't see people come back. They were like, "Oh man, this is busted up. I'm all busted up. I'm too much exercise. I have a heart attack." And then people would leave. I was like, "They're not leaving on purpose. They're getting run out of here. You got to do some cardio. You catch up. You won't be able to last." It's fun.
Grandmaster Bill, he would say things like, well, he's asked it, I should say. He said, when we were training back in the day, that, you know, he said that it was someone who told him, he said, listen, you need to come on over here and work with us because we have to actually show you, you got to learn how to take this butt whipping. And it was that was through the exercise and all of that. So, but anyway, that's great. Let me ask you, Grandmaster, in terms of what you do. You know, you have a wonderful school. You have been, you know, you've been doing a great job as it relates to teaching others. You know, you're in Staten Island, and you have a dojo that is well known, not just in Staten Island, but definitely in Staten Island. Tell me a little bit about what you're doing and how things are going as far as that is concerned.
So we started teaching in a local, a non-denominational church that was off the beaten path, and it was in a residential neighborhood. And the reason we went there is because we had a Sunday morning class. And people would come in, and we'd get to fighting and grappling and break the walls. And my wife was like, "You got to go find another spot. I'm not going to have this. I'm not cleaning the bathroom every Sunday." So she actually found a spot, and we stayed there 20 some odd years, 25 years or so, maybe longer. But they had a problem where we had to move out in 2019. And it was a relatively fast move. So I walked into this place, and there was nothing. It was a shell. And I spoke to the owner, and we hit it off. And then he says, "What color does your wife like?" Right? And I said, "She likes this color here, same color as my house." And he painted it, and he set up the lighting system, and we moved in January of 2020. And then 3 months later, they closed us because of the pandemic. And we were closed for 4 months, and then we reopened, and then we were closed for another 2 months. But so I'm not where the numbers I was when I came in. We had great numbers when I moved in, but we're slowly increasing going back there. Well, hopefully. And you know, the summertime, people, especially the new people, it's not the people who are with you. People get a little confused that sometimes they think martial arts training is a drop-off activity. because they don't listen or they're not watching what you're doing with your kids. You know, the life lessons, the encouragement to achieve goals, to never give up and to keep pushing to get what you want out of life as much as you can in terms of achievement. So they'll say, oh, we're going to do camp, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. So I think everybody's school right now is up and down as far as we're in the summer months, right? But the people who stick through it become solid students because they're like, oh, this is what he's talking about. He's getting our kids to read. The kids are asking me, they want to read because he has a reading program in the school. Oh, thank you, Mom. I made you boiled spinach. And you thank me for that? Yes, Mom, thank you. So the mannerisms and the things that children learn are, when they stay, they become great students. So we're doing okay. You know, we have our fair share of competition. I've never been on a commercial street, and I'm in a busy spot. But I could really throw a rock and hit another martial arts school on either direction. But
you've been hitting. You may not have been throwing rocks, but you've been hitting martial arts schools based on what you've been doing in your school, and they know you and know about that. You know, so you're being very humble, and I appreciate that. But I know that the kind of activity that you have from your previous location to your new location, and you've been doing a great job. So I just want you to, as you talk about the business, I want you to talk to business owners. You know, you have in this, you have those who have never studied any martial arts, and I want you to talk to them. I want you to talk to those who have some skill and want to study. And then you have the martial arts. I tell you what, let me ask you, how do you inspire students or someone coming into the school? Give me, some tips on inspiring a young person or anyone that comes in and take a look at what you do.
okay, so what I do, really, I'll get to it quickly, is I've learned now that specials, 2-for-1s, and 69 for 6 weeks, at my point in my life, I kind of pulled away from that. And what I'm doing now is to say, look, I can't text you anymore, and I'm not going to email. Come and speak to me directly. Sit in my office, my little desk. I don't have an office. Sit down. I'll explain what I do quickly. And what I do for children is I teach them life skills. I teach children to read a book every single day, 20 minutes a day. The children that are small, block letters. Look at block letters. Look at comic books. Look at a tube of toothpaste. But get your eyes to paper and get out of this digital world where we are not going to go away from. But when they go to law school, they're going to have to pull up a book. They're going to have to pull out paper. If they're going to be an architect, they're going to have to write on something. So I try to bring out of the small children these life skills that are necessary. Now, it's a busy world, busy parents. The parents are juggling job and their kids, and some of them are virtual. It's very easy for a parent to say, what are you doing? You're going to play a game for a little while? And the little while turns to 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
To me, that's dead time. Where they can bring them here for however long we train, and I could work out their body, make them strong, teach them about how to survive against an attack from an adult, because I get into that as well. But I also teach them life skills, and I'm heavy on the life skills. Like for instance, reading is an easy one. But when was the last time a child was taught time management? We're never taught time management. I was never taught until I had some psycho boss dump a pile of papers on my desk and say, I need this done before you leave. Let's go. And now I have to, like they say, multitask. I have to do a little here, a little here, a little here, or just concentrate on one pile and then finish it and go to the next. So that's like just 2 of the things that I teach. Discipline, confidence, food choices. I ate this instead of that. These are things I keep putting into the child because as teachers, and especially as teachers with a life of experience, for us to just teach, okay, you lead with your left and you fire in with your right and you keep your hands up, that's simple. To teach a fight is simple, but to teach them to be successful in a martial way is something different. And that's what I strive. And I don't, no gimmicks. I don't do any of the, you're never going to come in and punch like a piece of X-ray paper. I don't do intros ever. I take them, like Bruce Lee said, you got to get in the water to swim. This is my class. Parents, I want you to listen to me and watch how I interact with your child and see if we're a fit. And then I go through it. And that's all I do. My black belts that work for me are with me since they're like 3 years old. I don't hire anybody from the outside. They have to be, they're vetted. They're fully vetted.
Excellent. Well, let's touch the situation with women. Tell me, is there any difference when you dealing with the women than anyone else?
Is there, I'm sorry, is there a difference?
Is there a difference in terms of their thinking, you know, and your communication? You're bringing a woman into the school. She wants to come and train. You know, they have a different thought. Is there any difference in your conversation with them?
Well, yeah, the kids that come in, a lot of, you know, we're lucky in a lot of ways because I haven't got a chance to check out this Cobra Kai TV show. I just haven't had a chance, and I will because the kids are getting exposed to martial arts just like with your help. I don't think people realize this. The Ninja Mutant Turtles, with your help, sparked generations of martial arts. People don't know this. I'm sorry, I let it out of the bag. Grandmaster Aziz was involved with that. Am I wrong? I'm not wrong, right? Yes, sir?
Yes, sir.
I got pictures. So they may come in thinking this is the Cobra Kai, and that's okay because while I'm teaching, I'm not just hammering them because you were humorous. You are humorous. Doc was very humorous. As a matter of fact, it depends when you caught him. He could have been just talking in rhymes for the whole night. Yeah, you know, he'd tell a story and then he'd have soliloquies and but he was funny. You know, Grandmaster Bynes was funny. Sensei Archie Campbell was funny. So I didn't steer away from my roots. I tried to be humorous with my students because I believe if the students are learning and they're having fun, they're going to learn faster and they're going to remember better. Not acting out of line because I don't let that happen at all. The students have to be, you know, in your sections and they have to listen. But at the same time, we can have fun with that. It's probably not exactly what they're thinking it's going to be until I demonstrate, where I'll pull someone up. I say, this is what I'm doing. I don't block anybody. I'm always striking. I'm not waiting for you to hit me. I don't have that time frame. Time is important to me, and I don't have the time to wait for you to hit me and me to hit the ground. I'm going to circumvent that. I'm going to hit you first. You can go to the hospital if you're lucky, and that's the end of it. But then after that, I'll demonstrate. I'll talk a little bit. Then we pull out some weapons because weaponry is like indigenous to what we do. You know, if jiu-jitsu was a samurai art, and it was a samurai art for sure, well, the samurai had weapons. You know, and in Worlds Collide, you know, like just a simple Arnie stick is a weapon. So I teach the children Arnie. I teach them going back to Archie. Archie, listen, you got Soke Littlejohn is no stranger to the Shinai. Shinai is indigenous to Sanuces, no matter how you cut it. There was always somebody getting whacked with a Shinai. The Joe, right? There was always a Joe. People say Bo. No, the Joe. And I play with the nunchucks because I say to myself, if a child is walking and he's or lost sight of his parents and someone grabs him and he picks up something flexible like a branch, well, then maybe he could use that branch to defend himself. And that's really the only reason I teach. That's the main reason I'm teaching nunchucks to children. It's a flexible branch. But a Joe, a Shinai, an Arnie stick, a child could take that up. And the way I teach him to swing, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. The 10 strike coming straight down. That will hit an adult in the eye, in the nose, cause a second reaction for the child to cut and run and possibly get help if they're in that situation. Or, or if they're coming into the 3 or the 4 strike, trying to hit the fingers or trying to hit the thumbs. And I tell parents when they sit down, I'm going to teach a child to defend himself and against an adult. And I'm the only one on the trip who's going to make these claims, but I know how it works. I know what can happen, and I know how to stop it.
Let me know, you and Doc at your school, you brought him to the school many years, many times, as you mentioned earlier, to the brotherhood. How was he with your students? How was he, what kind of person was he, and how was he when you brought him over?
Okay, so I called up Bill, and I said, Bill, I think it was 97. It was Grandmaster. I don't know if it was Grandmaster then. Professor. I said, I want to bring Doc in. And I want to do a private seminar. And this was back when I was teaching in my basement. I said, I'm going to get 10 guys in, and I'll charge them $70 a head. I'm going to get 10 school owners. I'm talking 97. And the schools were all doing well. They were all successful guys. You know all of them. And he goes, I said, you think Doc would love that? He goes, damn right he'd love it. So he came in with Grandmaster Logan, and he came in with Professor McCall, Chief Professor McCall. They brought him down. And he did a rockin' seminar. And they knew who he was because they all watched the film, because Grandmaster Bynes had us watch that in the school. We used to watch videos, and that was one of them. So they all know who he was. They knew I was training with him. They knew the feedback when I would go back or I would demonstrate what I had learned. And it was like a rocking seminar, man. He was moving good. He was hitting people with those hands, with those knuckles, those gigantic knuckles he had. They were like, I don't know, they were huge. And there was a lot of,
I do this and say,
yeah, it was like something like that. You got hit with a sledgehammer.
yeah.
And they loved it. And we took tons of pictures. So after that, I says, you know what? I says, Doc, let me bring you back. And I brought him back, I guess, 6 months later. And after that, I was like every 6 months, I'd have him come down to the school. And then I moved, and I would have him come, and he would do a seminar. I think his last seminar was at my school. And then he transitioned like right after that. And my students loved him. You know, he got a chance to hit everybody in the room. He was good. It was a lot of fun. And then when he was there, people would come from everywhere. When they know he's in the area, you'd have people popping up from Manhattan, all over the place.
When we talk about Dr. Moses Powell, of course, his powers, his development in the art and his ability in the art always gets us to talk about the art. But, you mentioned that he was funny us. What about spiritual healing?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that another side.
Okay. Occasionally, I'll talk about. I'll pull a quote out of the Bible. It could be anything. It could be something I read from the Quran. And I look at my students. I said, "Look, I taught in the church for 27 years. My instructor would talk about religion on the floor. Nobody complained. If you complain because I'm telling you my life experience, I says it's kind of like you might want to listen to something I'm saying. I might have some stem of truth to it." So Doc would also talk about spiritualism, religion on the floor when he was talking. And I remember specifically, he says, "Look, I don't care if you call him God. It was down in when worlds collide. You can call him God. You can call him Allah. You can say what you want. You've got to believe in something. You have to believe that there's a God. And I was like, it was a profound statement that you're teaching these guys pretty much to be killers, tough, the tough of the tough. And he's saying at the same time, don't leave your religion behind. And that always stuck with me because, again, I'm not, I won't say I'm the best Christian because I don't make it to church as often as I should, but I pray every day and I believe and I like the closeness of the religion that appealed to me as the training did. And it tied right into the beliefs I already had. So he was a religious guy. He didn't, he'd talk about it and he'd say a few things. I loved it. And I'll listen to the stories. He had plenty of stories to tell. I would sit there and listen to everything.
Awesome. I mean, he's been, that type of person. He has so many facets. He was a security. He was a very interesting when it comes to being secure and knowing security. If anyone has any knowledge of some of his background, he's taught FBI, CIA, he's taught law enforcement, and was very, very important to them as well. So, just to know that about him is incredible. He taught the Nation of Islam. He was a massive. That's how I got him teaching when I was a child. And one of his students, he sent one of the students up to school, the Harvard University of Islam, and it was Brother Leon, and he was a brown guy. He came in, and I don't know how or why, but there was a karate practitioner, and his name was Brother Van, who was teaching a tempo style, and for some reason he had him about a year, and then this change happened. And when this guy came up, Brother Leon, man, I was tremendously impressed because he started doing a whole, when you talk about rolling and all of the different type of fighting, or I should say techniques that were being used, it was astounding. So that was my intro into Sanuces, back in those early years, So in terms of yourself, Grandmaster Bill, Second Battle, Second Davis, I know these guys. Tell me about the relationship that you have with them.
Okay. I've been driving Grandmaster Bill crazy since the day I started. I don't know. It was a gift to me, but it might have been a curse to him because as Doc would train me, he would come down and teach Bill some stuff because the mat was separated, right? I was in the center. I was working one-on-one with Doc for a certain amount of time, but he would bounce over to Bill, and he's like teaching between us. And then eventually he says, all right, Tom, Tom's with you, Bill. And Bill went. Bill is a grandmaster, is a very good, as a master instructor, and a very eloquent the way he would explain it. So I was picking things up. I was writing things down. I was trying to come in every single day because I worked out my schedule to be there. I come in at nighttime after work, and then I hit the Sunday class. And Saturday class, I'd be working, but I would come there anyway because you'd have Professor B would be downstairs. And I would just, boss, hate baseball. And then there I am. I'm writing notes. I'm watching him, finger lock everybody. But Bill, I drive him nuts because I call him every day. I don't get him every day, but I do. It's okay. I don't talk to Soke every day, but we call at least a few times a week. We're in contact a few times a week. There's not a week goes by where I don't speak with him. When I go to Florida, I have a place not far from him. I guess since '05, so at least 15, 16 years, I call him up and says, "Hey, you want to go grab something to eat?" And then we would meet up, my family and him, and we'd go to eat. Soke is Soke's like a real samurai. He's a guy, if you said if you had to put him back into any certain time, you'd have to put him back there because his training doesn't leave him. All right, we're going to eat. Grab me. We're in line. What are you going to do? Soke looks at me. Grab him. Oh, man, grab me hard. What's wrong with your hand? I got a broken thumb. Let me grab you with this one. Grab me harder than that. Okay. Let me show you what I'm doing with this knife. And I'm working on this new stick pattern. So it's a never, and I don't leave martial arts either. So for me, it's like home run. And yourself, Grandmaster, it's like, how was I so lucky in my path to come into your, and all of the Grandmaster's presence? I was very fortunate here. Like, to talk to you, like, sometimes, hey man, I need some strength, or I'll just call to tell you I love you. That's it.
Yes, sir.
And it was the same with Doc. Doc would be up early in the morning, early. So I start at 6, and I call him sometimes, or he called me early. He says, "Where you going?" I go, "I'm going to work." He goes, "How do you like your boss?" I says, "I don't." He goes, "Just tell him when he says something, okay, boss." The relationship, of course, always, I know my place in the hierarchical structure of Sanuces, but the friendships and the bonding that's attached to it, and the loyalty that has been given to me has been such a blessing that I could not return, but I try. I try.
It's appreciated. You have been tremendous to me. And I know, I tell you, seeing how you have helped and aided others in this. So I appreciate you for what you have done. And this is who you are and how you do what you do. You're a straight shooter. What it is, you're not going to try to play with that.
Right. I try to be politically correct, but I'm not good in politics.
And I appreciate that. I like that.
I try. I do work at it,
I like that because there are those who have issues. When I say those have issues, when we're talking about how we should be with our family, with others, and you want to give a lesson. Let's just say you want to teach a lesson, and not a lesson like we want to tell somebody behind us, but teaching a lesson to someone who may not understand how to respect as they should, because we're talking about lineage. You were mentioning seniors and that type of thing. How should one handle those who have come before them? And how do you feel they should handle a senior in this? Even if the senior is not moving with them, but how should one handle a senior? And the senior is only someone who's been working before you in a particular thing.
So I tell the children, and I tell the adults as well, and especially the adults. Like tomorrow's an 8 o'clock Sanuces. I never left Sanuces at 8 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday. Once I got that, I started teaching. I had a Sunday morning class, and I knew. Everyone's like, "Give up your Sunday morning class. You need a day of rest." Yeah, I rest after the Sanuces. I can rest all day, but that class doesn't stop. And I'll tell the students, whether they're adults or children, I says, "You know what? You're on a tree, and right now you may be hanging on the end of a branch because you just got here, or you may be further up. But the tree has a top and the tree has a root. I'm connected to the root, for sure. But the top of the tree, there's people above me, and they're always going to be there. And above us, in the Sanuces lineage, there's Doc. And then as you come down, you have Sophie Littlejohn. You have yourself. You have Grandmaster Bill. You have Grandmaster Logan. These people were here first. You have to give respect to these people. You have to listen and learn, because there's a reason they were put there. There's a reason you got there before we got there. There's a reason you are who you are. But just to come in as a Johnny-come-lately and say, hey, man, I could do this and I could do that, that's not martial arts. That's like crazy. Like, if you ask me who my teacher is, I'm very proud to point to the wall and say he's right there, and my other teacher's over here, all right? And say I fall under Grandmaster, I fall under Sophie Littlejohn, Grandmaster Anthony, Grandmaster Bill McLeod, just to name a few. But I have many seniors ahead of me. And without that structure, without that lineage, you got nothing. You got a bag of nothing. But a system with a strong root where you could trace the guy who created it, his teacher above him, when you could trace that and then see the students that came off of that as clear as day as it is in Sanuces, we're very lucky. So I tell my students, I says, this is something you won't hear, but this is something you need to appreciate.
It's been great, talking to you. I want you to know this is our podcast. That's the time. This is not something where you are just visiting like a guest. You are a guest on the show, but you're not a guest in this family. So I want you to know that this is our podcast. This is something that we have to share with others so that we can continue to spread this knowledge that we have and give them a better understanding. I've got so many students, white belts, and even ranking belts to say, man, I'm so happy that you're doing this because I got an opportunity to hear these stories. This is what I'm getting. So you are also a part of that now. And you know that you don't think that you are just a guest and I'm just doing an interview. No, this is a family member that's having a conversation. But that's all we have. It's and I'm looking forward to having another one with you where everyone can hear because we can't get everything across in the hip info. Right after that, you're going to say, man, I thought it's all about another thing. And I will do the same thing in terms of what I could have asked you to help give them more. But it's about that. And I appreciate you doing this. And I appreciate everyone, all of you that are out there. And you're involved. I want you to know, you mentioned being in Florida. I want you to know I'm in Florida right now. I actually came out to be at a seminar with, I actually came out initially to attend a funeral service for someone very, very close to me. And while I was out here, I realized or knew that there was an event that was a few days later. I then went to that where Sophie Littlejohn Davis was. And I was with him and with a number of other masters. It was just a couple of I enjoyed myself. But I never lose. I try to always get the opportunity. If training is available, I want to do it. You all can continue to train, and if you're not training, you need to start training. Get an opportunity to understand what it is to affect your body, affect your mind, and affect your spirit in the best manner. I appreciate you very much, John. I appreciate you for being on this evening, and I'm looking forward to having you again.
Thank you, sir. I'm very honored to be here. If you're in the Chicago area, seek out Grandmaster Anthony. I'm doing this a long time. In my eyes, He's one of the greatest martial artists to put feet onto this earth. You've got to see him go. He's amazing. And thank you, sir, for having me on here. I'm forever in awe and forever trying to get to a higher place with the inspiration of you and the other masters above me.
Awesome. Appreciate you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, everyone. Thank you all for being present with us. We're going to have. So know that I'm in the airport. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not. Although whatever issue that I go through, I want to make sure that you are getting what you need today. So please continue to enjoy what we have. Thank you very much for attending. And again, once again, thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.
Every student of a master here today, you reflect your master teacher. You want to walk like him. You want to talk like her. But you start by having an object in front of you that you